Hey everybody, it's Lynn from A Bit of Birdsong. I'm at my desk. It's Sunday afternoon. It feels really good outside. It's a little bit cooler. I'm working in the current Rusty journal. I'm calling it Poetic Rust, and my vision for this journal keeps evolving. I did end up choosing this photograph for the front, and I want to show you some fabric that Linda brought to me. She sometimes comments on this channel, and Linda is such a nice person. I've had the privilege of meeting her at the store where I work. This fabric, and she brought me several, not even several, she brought me a lot of fabric pieces. Look how gorgeous this is. When I took it out of the bag, I just knew that it had to be a part of this journal. And it has little flowers on it. Isn't it just gorgeous? I'm absolutely in love with this fabric. So going back to the front, I used a piece behind this image, and that image looks like it is buckling just a little bit. So I'm going to try to press that down. I don't want to smear any ink. I know it's probably that moisture is soaking through from the bottom. I love this. I think it's really pretty, and hopefully that will stay down nicely. I can cut some of these strings later. I don't want to pull on the whole piece of fabric. And then on the inside, I put a piece of the fabric for a little pocket. I've just got, maybe this paper would be better. I put a piece of paper in here to keep that glue from sticking to the other page. And right now, I'm just going back page by page. I've added some flip out pages, which is going to add a lot of bulk to the journal and make it really full. So there will be, these spreads will get bigger. There will be more layers. I'm doing this with masking tape. And that, even though there's not a lot of pink in this, I think every once in a while a pop of color that contrasts with the main theme or with another color on the page is really nice. And since this metallic page has some pink in it, and it kind of ties in with the roses, so I thought I could get away with it on that page. So I haven't put any more flip out pages beyond that. I definitely will be doing that. This journal, I think, is going to be wonderful by the time it's done. I added a pocket in the back for the button card, and this is just some of the same fabric that I had been using to bind the pages, and it's a piece of fabric that I had used to soak up extra paint. I don't throw away anything like this. These become some of my favorite pieces to use in my journals. But going back over here, this dragonfly had been glued down completely, so I couldn't really slide her picture underneath the dragonfly's head. I went ahead and stamped another one and cut it out so that we can make layers. And I'm just kind of looking at it right now to figure out, you know, do I want to cut the wings down on this one a little bit so we can see what's behind? We could maybe do that a little bit without cutting off too much of the length. I might not like this. If I don't like it, we can just stamp it again. But I do like it. It actually lets us see a little more of what's underneath. So I'm going to glue this one down. Not sure if I'm going to glue it out all the way to the ends. Maybe just part of the way. And let me wipe some of that off the end. I really kind of did go out to the end there after saying I wasn't going to, but I think that'll be okay. Yeah, because that fabric's there. It's going to keep it from really laying down flat anyway. My desk is kind of a mess right now, so I'm going to be careful as I work. Glue coming through that. It's okay. I'm going to be careful as I work to protect some of these pages that I don't want to get ink on. Like, I really don't want to mess that up at all. Probably what's going to happen is we're going to end up with some really pretty scrap pieces of paper that I can save and use in later projects. I want to show you something that I really like. Let me get a piece of fabric. This is one of the reasons I love keeping fabric like this around. Let's just put it right here. And I'm going to take this stamp and I'm going to spray it with water. I like to clean my stamps up. Sometimes I hold them over the trash can and let the water pour off. But I want to show you if we take this fabric and just lay it across the top and keep it in one place to clean the stamp up. It's especially true if you have a stamp that you've used over and over and let it dry and you've got different colors on. Isn't that beautiful? And you can see the different colors. I've used rust on that stamp, and then I used some of this Carter's black ink. That is where this came from. So be sure and use every bit of what you've got on your table. Let's see if we can get any more off of this. Yeah, look at that. So the water really loosens up all of the ink, and it does two things. It helps to keep your stamp pads clean, and you get this beautiful art. For this page, I do want to add some more ink around the edges. You can see how it runs on this paper. I love paper. It's all so different. And that's even pulling in some black from somewhere. Yeah, paper responds really differently. Some really thick paper, you can hardly even spread ink across it because it soaks it up so fast. But then this paper is, it's pretty thin. So we will stop there for now on that one. Put some ink on this side. I like to stamp on a wet page also. And when paper's thin like this, you have to be careful not to run the stamp pad over it or a paintbrush or water or anything, because you can start to tear off the outer layers of paper and it can end up looking ragged. I'm not really crazy about that look. You know, it's not the end of the world, but let's just go ahead and put a lot right there. And we'll leave this paper here. Although I probably need to tear it down just a little bit so that we can close this page. Like that. So then let's move over to this page. With this fabric being close by, I'll just use this. This paper might even soak up some of that dragonfly underneath. So let's get another stamp. That looks like it has a lot of ink in it. Or some ink, anyway. So I know you can see these. They're not distinct at all, but I still really like the way that turned out. And I am going to take this piece of fabric and soak some of that water up so that I can keep working on that page. I do like that. It did go through a little bit. So let's cover her face up with something else and go back to the stamp pad and just distressing around the edges. we will definitely be visiting all of these pages again. So the layers are going to become, you know, thicker and thicker. I'll close these up on each other. I don't mind if this wet spot gets on that page. It's just going to make it even prettier. So let's check the front again and make sure. Now you can see, okay, I laid that over on the stamp. That's so typical of me. I'm not going to worry about that at all. In fact, you can see the way it's running the ink. I have an inkjet printer. I don't have a laser printer. So when you use images from inkjet, water will run the ink. I'm so glad I didn't lay it on her face because I wouldn't want her face messed up. But I'm really okay with this. That's going to just add to the cover, I think, and make it look older. And since this is a rusty sort of, we want a rusty feel, that's fine with me. Looking at the outside, one of the things I love about this binding is that I can take the safety pins out and put them back in, so I can add things to the safety pin. Now the straight part of it that I can get to is on the inside of the fabric or in the fabric, so I have to pull it out to access that side. Some things are big enough to go over that, the top of the safety pin. But I am so looking forward to adding more and more to this. I can add things here too. All it requires is taking the safety pin out and then putting it back in, but that's not so hard to do because there are definite marks here now where the safety pin has been. I bought a few rusty pieces to go in this journal. Look at that. Not sure yet where that'll go. It could kind of hang down and be a charm or something. I just love all of this. And I picked these up. I believe this, I think they might go on the top of a lamp, like the little finial up, maybe goes on top of the harp. But I have ideas for these. I think they're going to be really fun. Well, I think that I am going to stop for now. I know one thing I could do here on the front and let that dry. This ink can go on pretty thick. This is really meant to refill a stamp pad. You can ink a stamp pad with this, but sometimes I put it directly onto the rubber stamps, and you can tell that's kind of thick. So, you know, if I took this and put this image over where we got the water, oh, I like that. It's going to take a while for that to dry though, so that's kind of the perfect thing for now. I'll just leave that, and that can dry while I go do something else. But let's not waste this ink on here. Let's go ahead and put some water on this stamp and get all of this ink off of the stamp. Look at that. I love it. All right, I will be back really soon with more from this journal. Bye for now.